So with that, we will begin our Srimad Bhagavatam. And first, I would like you all to go to Shloka Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse number 18. Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse number 18, which we just recited now. It is Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So that is the verse which we have given you for memorization also in the WhatsApp group. So you should memorize this verse. Uh, so the translation goes like this. Maybe Dilip Prabhu, you can read the translation. Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse number 18. Please all put your mic on mute. There's too much of noise. Only Dilip Prabhu has to read the translation. That is also very feeble, Prabhu. You have to speak louder. Okay, so the translation goes like this. By regular attendance in the class of Bhagavatam and by rendering of services to pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto personality of Godhead, who praised with transcendental song, is established as an irrevocable fact. Now can you hear me? I have muted all actually. Yeah, so don't put your mics. Actually, I'll just read because there are too much of noise coming today, and I can hear you very low. Actually, your voice is also very low. I don't know why. Yeah, yeah, I think I've made my voice setting. So we'll give you maybe last 10 minutes. We will discuss question and answers if somebody wants to speak anything. Otherwise, chat type in the chat window. Yes, yes. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 18. Put the it's in the chat window. If you have any question, the chat window is updated. Okay. So what it says is by regular attendance in class in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Nityam Bhagavata Seva. It says Nityam. Nityam means regularly, ongoing. It every time. So Nityam Bhagavata Seva means we have to read Bhagavatam continuously. So what happens by that? One is continuous reading of Bhagavatam, and it says by rendering service to pure devotees. So service to pure devotees, and by reading Bhagavatam, by hearing Bhagavatam, by regular attendance in the class, what happens? All that is troublesome to the heart. All that is troublesome, right? So in the shloka it says Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu. Abhadreshu means inauspicious, right? Abhadra is inauspicious. So whatever is inauspicious happening in our lives, happening around us, all the negativity which is there surrounding everyone, what happened to that? It is Nashta Prayashu Abhadreshu. So Nashta means destroyed. So all the inauspiciousness is destroyed when we are coming regularly to the Bhagavatam classes, reading Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavatam, and by rendering to the pure devotees. It is said that it is almost completely destroyed. It is not fully destroyed, it is almost completely destroyed. So why it is not fully destroyed? Because there is something else also. Because someone can say, okay, Prabhuji, this is very easy. We just have to listen Bhagavatam and we will be happy. Nothing to be done. But no, that's why the shlokas is almost completely destroyed because you have to do chanting of holy name also. So when you do chanting of holy name, along with that, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you do service to the pure devotees, then your all the troubles or related to the heart or inauspiciousness is completely destroyed. So this is what Bhagavatam says. Even Canto 1 verse 7, chapter 7 verse 7. Canto 1 chapter 7 verse 7, that also says, no need to go in the verse if you are not comfortable. I'll just read the translation. It says, simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So what it says is just by hearing what happens, hearing what? Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we all are here. Why? Because we want to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So what happens by hearing? All the fire of lamentation. Lamentation means sorrows. We are sorrowful, or we are lamenting for the things which we don't have in our life. The fire of lamentation, illusion. Illusion means Brahm. We are an illusion. Like we are considering what is not, we are considering that as real. So that is illusion. When you enter into the movie theater, what happens? Movie theater is completely dark and they show you a very nice picture in that everything is gloomy and everything is very fine. So that is all which is not real, but you are shown and you become part of the movie and you think everything is happening to you. You cry also, you laugh also, you experience all the emotions. So that is, you are an illusion. So that is one example of illusion to understand. And fearfulness. So lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Fearfulness is, we are fearful of many things in life. Right now, we are all fear of, getting infected. So we all are under common fear of getting infected. So that those all fearfulness will just go away. It will just extinguish the fire of all these things. How? Just by oral reception. Just by oral reception of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is why we are all here to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So on that note, we will just start continuing our reading and hearing Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam. Shri Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So as we know, before getting our getting into our topic, as you all know, what we discussed last time. Last time, what we discussed. So we discussed the how the Jay and Vijay were transformed and they entered into the womb of Diti, right? Who was the daughter of Daksha, right? So, so Daksha. So we'll continue that topic. Our currently what we were discussing is the Vidura, who is the minister of Dhritarashtra in the assembly of Kurukshetra in the assembly. So he was out and he was out in the forest before the war and he met Uddhava and then he finally met Maitreya Muni. So there's a conversation going on between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So Vidura is asking about the creation, what has happened, from where all this creation is coming. So all those things we discussed last time. So in that same topic, the creation topic only. So there are some the creation topics were discussed and the Brahma, how Brahma was created himself from the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So we all saw that. And how the Brahma gave, birth to all the rishis, all the sages. And further he gave birth to Manu and Satrupa. And then further Brahmaji, gave birth to all the Prajapatis. So Prajapati, the word Prajapati means, you must have heard the word Prajapati. In India, it's a very common surname. But actually, the word Prajapati means Praja means people in large, and Pati means the owner of them, owner of Praja. So Prajapati. So in Bhagavatam, it is said that those Prajapatis were brought into creation with the responsibility of creating it further. So further species, all the 84 lakh species what we see is all coming from the Prajapatis. So they are very important position. They are holding a very important position in the matter of creation. So here today we will be discussing about one of the very strong and very prominent Prajapati whose name is Daksha, right? And in this today's topic, we will be discussing about curse. Curse. What is curse? In Hindi, it is called sharp. So sharp and the curse. So one thing before we begin, we have to understand that curse or blessings. So for a Vaishnava, who are the devotees of Krishna, devotees of Vishnu, they don't fear curse first of all. And the topic itself looks like curse is a very bad thing. But then if we see, till now we have seen almost 4 to 5 curses already we have discussed. So the first curse we discussed, was in Damodar Leela, when Narad Muni curses the sons of Nalakubera, Nalakubera and Manigriva, the sons of Kubera. So Narad Muni curses them, and he curses them to be in the as a tree in the courtyard of Nand Maharaj, and they will be liberated by Krishna himself. So that was the first curse. Then we saw the curse of Kumaras, four Kumaras also, right? That four Kumaras are cursing themselves to be very short, and then they are cursing Jaya and Vijaya, right? So we saw that curse also, that Jaya and Vijaya got cursed by Kumaras. Then we saw the curse of Parikshit Maharaj. He put a snake around that neck of a rishi, Shamika, and then Shringi, his son, curses Parikshit Maharaj. So that curse also we saw. So, and then today we are going to talk of another curse. So, you might think that, we are talking of curse, but then for Vaishnavas, curse becomes even, curse also becomes blessings. So even if Vaishnav gives curse, like Narad Muni has cursed Nalkuver and Manigriva, but in turn what they got is they got the darshan of the Lord himself, and they got liberated from the Lord. So that was a blessing. Actually, it was not a curse. It was a blessing. Then Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed that he will be bit by a Takshak snake within 7 days, and then he approached Shukdev Goswami, and whole Bhagavatam came into picture, and then he was liberated even before he actually left his body. So that also curse become blessings for Parikshit Maharaj, right? Then what we discussed, curse of four Kumaras. So four Kumaras also gave curse to Jay and Vijay, which actually became blessings for them, and Lord has to come down to fight with them, and they were liberated by the Lord again. So all the curses also which are described in Bhagavatam, in Srimad Bhagavatam, they in a way becomes blessings. So this is what we should understand, that the first principle of Vaishnavas, that as a devotee of Krishna, we as our at our level, at our position, the first principle should be that we should not curse anybody. That is first principle. And second principle is we should not counter curse also. Like if somebody is cursing us, we should not counter curse. We should take that also as a blessing. Because if you are completely under the shelter of Krishna, he will turn that curse into a blessing for you. Right? So this is the two principle which we have to keep in mind. So let us start with our introduction, with our topic of today. So as I was saying, that Daksha Prajapati. Now Daksha Prajapati had, out of his 16 daughters, 13 daughters were given to Kashyapa Muni, including Diti, which we saw last week. So Daksha Prajapati's 16th daughter, whose name was Sati, right? So Sati was given to Lord Shiva as his wife, right? So what is the relationship between Daksha and Lord Shiva? They were father-in-law and brother-in-law, Sasur and Damad. You get it? So Sati, the daughter of Daksha, was married to Lord Shiva. So Daksha became father-in-law, and Lord Shiva became Damad. Right? So this is the relation on the a relation platform they have. But Lord Shiva is much higher above exalted position. We will see in the shlokas. So now, sorry. So what happens here is Vidura. Vidura is asking to Maitreya Muni about all this creation, and Maitreya Muni is describing that this got married to this got married to this, and this rishi married this wife, and they got the children, blah blah blah. So he's giving all the chronological order of the creation. But when Vidura understood that Sati was married to Lord Shiva and Sati had no child, Sati didn't have any child at that time, and and very early ages, Sati quit her body. She gave up her body at a very young age without getting fully matured, and she didn't have any children. So Vidura was completely shocked that how is it possible that a personality is like Daksha, personalities like Daksha, who is already great, and Lord Shiva and Sati, so kind of those kind of very exalted devotees, exalted personalities, and Sati gave up her body. So what was the reason? What was the reason that she gave up her body? So we'll start with the text one, because there are a lot of important verses here. So we will go with the translation directly. I will read the translations. You can, or maybe I'll ask some of them to read the translation, so we can understand, because we need to go through the exact words, because there are a lot of important words in the verses. Okay. So maybe Dilip Prabhu, you can read the first verse of fourth canto, chapter 2. So today now we will be opening canto 4, chapter 2. Yeah, read the purport also, Prabhu. Go into purport. Click text 1, you will go inside the purport of Srila Prabhupada, the Tatparya of that. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So see what is written here is the Lord, what Prabhupada says is Lord Shiva is described as the best of gentle. So he was a, Shiva itself, the name itself means auspiciousness. Shiva is all auspicious. He is the, Devadidev Mahadev, and he is described as, Lord Shiva is described as the gentle of all, and he is not envious of anyone. So it's a quality of Lord Shiva that he is not envious of anyone in this world, in this whole creation. He is equal to all living entities. That means he's keeping all sambhav to all, and he's having all good personalities, all good qualities. So how it is possible that somebody can be envy of Lord Shiva? When the person himself is so good and he's the best of gentlemen, then how is it that somebody can be envious? Daksha can be envious of Lord Shiva, and Sati has to quit her body. So Vidur is asking what happened. Tell me the story to Maitreya Muni. That what happened, that how this Daksha was inimical to Lord Shiva, who is equal to all, who is not enemy by himself, who is a great personality, who is all auspicious. So this is what he is asking. Let's go to the second verse. Prabhu, you can read the second text also. Dilip Prabhu. Yeah, read the translation quickly. I want somebody to read quickly. Yeah. So again, he's asking that he's the spiritual master of the whole world. So what is Lord Shiva described as in the Bhagavatam? He is the spiritual master of the whole world. Spiritual master means he is the guru of everyone. He is the topmost Vaishnava, and he is so merciful that the ghosts and demons who are taken, who doesn't, nobody takes care of them, ghost and the other bad creatures. Lord Shiva is so merciful and kind that even for those creatures he has a passionate heart, and he takes care of them also. He is so godly, and he is spiritual master of everyone. Even for the demons, he is a spiritual master. So he delivers even the demons and the ghostly characters also. So he's so famous. He's so worshipable. Even it says, on one hand, he's the best of all Vaishnavas. That we have a sampradaya from coming from Lord Shiva is known as the Rudra Sampradaya. So he says it is said that Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. He is the topmost of Vaishnava, right? And Daksha is also not an ordinary person. He is also a great Prajapati. He is the son of Brahma. So what has happened between the two, which is creating this, problem? And what was the reason that Sati, the word Sati means chaste, chaste, very pure. So the Sati who is very chaste has to quit her body. What has so happened? Please explain me. So then it further goes ahead. Somebody can read text 3. Quick, quick, Dilip Prabhu. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, I think that is understandable, right? That is the question of Vidura, that how it happened. So read text 4. Samira Mataji, you can continue. Yeah. So now the Maitreya Muni continues that how it happened. So he says that there was a time when there was a large sacrifice, yagya. Large yagya was established, and everybody was called. The great rishis, Marichi and all the great 10 rishis, all the sages, and even Daksha, Vashishta, everybody was called. Even all the demigods, Indra, Chandra, Surya, everyone, Varuna, and all the demigods were also there. On top of that, Lord Brahma was also there and Lord Shiva was also there. So it was a full assembly of very great people, great sages and great demigods, including Lord Brahma himself and Lord Shiva himself. So full assembly was there and the yajna sacrifice was going on. So what happened next? Let's see. Text number 5. Please read. Yeah, so what happened when all the sages and demigods were sitting, Daksha Prajapati came, he entered. And what is said in the purport is, his personality was so effulgent that his, face was glowing like sun, because he was a very powerful Prajapati. He was a very powerful personality direct coming from Lord Brahma. He was the son of Lord Brahma. So when he came, all the other, it is like some hero entering, when the movie is going on and all side heroes and everybody is there, and then the entry of hero happens. So what happens? Every light and every focus is on the hero. So this is the hero of that assembly has come. So Daksha Prajapati has come. So, in it is said in purport, it is said in Bhagavatam that against his personality, all other personalities were very, down. All the demigods and everybody was, lackluster. That his luster, his effulgence was very strong. You know. Let us read verse 6, text 6. Yeah. So what happened now? So when he entered, everybody stood up from their place to greet Daksha. Right? Everybody, all the demigods and everybody, all the sages, everybody got up because his personality was so charismatic. But two gentlemen did not get up. One was Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma was his father, and the second was Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva also didn't get up from his place. Right? This is what has happened. So now let's see what happens. Read text 7. Yeah, so what has happened here is, can I request only two persons to read? I think Sridevi Mataji and Samira Mataji, you can go alternate reading and rest all can hear, because there are a lot of verses we have to read. So let us focus, only two persons can read and remaining person can hear the verses, right? So Daksha, yeah, what happened now is Daksha came and Lord Brahma, because he was the owner, he was like chairperson, he was the chairperson of the assembly. He asked him to take a seat and then offered respect, but he didn't get up because he was his father. So he just, please, tell him just with the words he respected him, that please come, Dakshan, please take take your seat. Yeah, let's read the eighth verse. Yeah, so now what happened? When Daksha was about to take the seat, he saw that Lord Shiva, he didn't give me any respect. What is this? I am so famous personality. He was considering himself, Daksha, as above Lord Shiva also. That was Daksha's ignorance. He was ignorant that he was considering himself as Lord Shiva. Why he was considering himself above Lord Shiva? Because he was the father-in-law, right? Sati, his daughter, was married to Lord Shiva. Are you getting it? Yeah, so Daksha could not tolerate this. He said that he took as an insult that why the son-in-law is not respecting me. I am the father-in-law, so relation-wise, I am bigger than Lord Shiva also. So why this son-in-law is not getting up and not greeting me and not respecting me. So and he's not properly dressed also. So he felt very insulted. Who felt insulted? Daksha. Now read 9, text number 9. Yeah, so now see, pay careful attention. Something drastically different is going to happen here. So what Daksha is saying now, that please all the sages, all the brahmanas and all the fire gods present, please hear to me with careful attention. What I'm going to speak now about, about the manners of gentle person. And he's saying that I do not speak with ignorance or envy. So he's already envious. He's already envious of Lord Shiva, because he didn't respect it, he felt insulted, and he is already envious. What is envious? What is envious means? Jalan, right? Jalna. अगर हम किसी से जलते हैं तो that is the envious quality. So he is already envious, and he's saying what he's saying. Before speaking, he's saying that please be careful, please listen to all, that listen everyone, that I am not speaking out of anger or out of envious. It's just like when we are angry, and when we scold somebody, what we say? No, no, I'm not speaking because of enviousness, but I'm speaking, still I'm speaking. It is the same emotion. So he's speaking out of enviousness, but he's telling to everyone that please bear in mind that I'm not speaking being envious, right? So listen to me very carefully. He says to all the people assembled in the Sabha. Now read text 10. Yeah, see. Now what how he is blaspheming Lord Shiva, Daksha. He's telling to everybody that Shiva has spoiled the fame of all other persons in the universe. All other demigods, he has spoiled the fame. There's a beautiful word in the shloka. It is called Yashogna. In Sanskrit, it is said Yashogna. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that Yashogna has two meaning. So spoiling fame. So how you spoil the fame? By doing bad things, and you spoil the fame also in other sense, that your fame, yourself fame is so great that others' fame is already diminished. So Lord Shiva, Prabhupada writes that Lord Shiva was so glorious, so glorious personality, that his fame was so rich that other fames were diminished. In that sense, Yashogna. And there is one more word, Nirapatrapa. Nirapatrapa means shameless also, which Daksha is referring to Lord Shiva as shameless. But the word has different meaning also, that it means that who is the maintainer of the persons who has no other shelter. So the persons who don't have any other shelter, if they go to Lord Shiva, he accepts them and he blesses them. So that is also the meaning of that word. So in a positive sense, if you take, these are the meanings, Yashogna and Nirapatrapa. But Daksha, here in this context, he is blaspheming Lord Shiva. He is saying he is shameless person, and he has spoiled the fame of other demigods also, right? So this is what very he's spoiling his character now, Daksha. So let us read further. Text 11. Yeah, so see further. Why I'm making you read the shlokas, because they are very intensified words which we need to read. You know. So what Daksha is saying, that Shiva has pretended to be honest. That means he is dishonest. This is the second blasphemy he is saying to Lord Shiva. That how dishonest is he, that and he has already accepted subordinate position by marrying my daughter. So if a person is marrying your daughter, he is considered subordinate. That is what Daksha is understanding now. And he is pretending to be honest, but he is not honest. He is dishonest person. And still, he has accepted the position lower to me, but he's still not respecting me. How dishonest person is Lord Shiva? That is what Daksha is saying. Let's read the 12th verse. Now, this is very insulting. 12th verse, just read. Read again. Yeah, see, if someone says us any bad words, that your hair looks shabby, or you are not, you're looking so ugly, how would we feel? Very bad. But here, Daksha, in the all assembly of great sages and all demigods, in front of Lord Brahma, what he is saying? Lord Shiva has eyes like monkey, and my daughter Sati has eyes like a deer cub. Deer cub. Deer means the deer cub has very beautiful long eyes. So he's saying that there's no comparison, and but then still he is not standing up to give me respect. This is Daksha is insulting Lord Shiva. Are you getting it? The insult intensity of insult. Are you with me, all of you? Yeah. Read verse 13. Yeah. So what further he's saying? That I had no desire to give my daughter, but still, because he has broken all civilities rules. Why he has broken all civility rules? Because he's not observing the required rules and he's impure. If you see Lord Shiva, he's always having the dust smearing around him. He's wearing a neck of skulls. So he's totally impure. That is what he's saying. But still, I have given my purest daughter, who is like Gayatri, to him. It is like teaching Vedas to a Shudra who is not qualified. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that you would need some qualification to understand Vedas and to read Vedas. Like for example, if a person has to go to postgraduate university, he has to complete all the graduation before, so he is qualified. So it is like Shudras are not qualified to read Vedas. It is like reading Vedas to a Shudra. I have given my daughter to this person who has forgotten the rules of civility. Read text 14-15 together. Yeah. So again, he's saying all the inauspicious things, because he's saying he's calling him an inauspicious character, but otherwise, actually, Lord Shiva is very auspicious. Actually, he's a very great personality. It is the Daksha's ignorance and his incompetence that he's calling Shiva, he's blaspheming Shiva like anything. See, this kind of blaspheming we have heard for Krishna also. From whom? Who will tell me? Huh? No, not Duryodhan. Shishupal. Yeah. Shishupal blasphemed Krishna like anything. He called him, you are a thief, you are like a milkman, you are just taking the cow dung, you are just among the cows, you are taking the cow dungs, and you are a Dasi Putra. Nanda Maharaj was a Gwala, he was a milkman. You are a son of milkman, and you just roam around with your, with girls, and you are having a flute. So he blasphemed like anything to Krishna also. But what has happened in the end to Shishupal? He was punished, right? But now here, similarly, the similar experiences with Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is getting blasphemed by Daksha. Now something very interesting is happening in in the next 2 to 3 chapters. It will be happening. Just keep some patience. So what he's saying here is he's wearing a garland of bones and skulls. He's having a snake. He's having all the ashes. So he's describing the characteristic of Lord Shiva. Let us read about Prabhupada writes in the purport. The purport is very fantastic. Somebody can quickly read the purport also inside of the same shloka, 14-15. Okay, I will read from here. Lord Shiva is so kind that he gives shelter to such creatures and gradually elevates them to spiritual consciousness. Although it is very difficult to raise such creatures to spiritual understanding, Lord Shiva takes charge of them, and therefore, as stated in the Vedas, Lord Shiva is all auspicious. Thus, by his association, even fallen souls get elevated. So, Lord Shiva is so auspicious that even if the fallen soul gets his association, he gets elevated. So, that is the personality of Lord Shiva. Sometimes it is seen that great personalities meet with fallen soul not because of personal interest for benefit of those souls. In creation of the Lord, there are different kinds of living creatures. Some of them are in mode of goodness, some are in passion, and some are in ignorance. Lord Vishnu takes charge of person, and Lord Shiva again takes charge of the person who are ignorant. So what it says is that Lord Shiva takes the charge of the people who are in ignorance also. In association of Lord Shiva, the person get elevated. It is like the other way around. He is completely auspicious and he is completely great personality. But Daksha is not understanding. Right? So let us read verse 16. Sridevi Mataji or Samira Mataji. Yeah, so what he's saying now? ये तो ब्रह्मा जी ने बोला, my father Brahma ji told to give my daughter to Lord Shiva, otherwise I was not interested at all. So now Daksha is insulting his own father, Brahma ji, on whose request he gave the daughter to Lord Shiva. So such a big insult, of Lord Brahma also and Lord Shiva also. Now finally, what he's going to do is, let's read the verse 17. 17th verse. Yeah, so after saying all the bad words, or after saying all the blasphemy of Lord Shiva, then finally he cursed. What he cursed? Now let us pay very important attention on the curse. What he is cursing? Text 18. Yeah, so this was a curse of Daksha that he, when you're doing yajna, you are putting some sacrifices and you will get some benefit of the yajna. That is the purpose of yajna, right? So you will get the oblations of the sacrifices. So what Daksha is cursing to Shiva is that though he is sitting here in the sacrifice, he will not get any share of this yajna, and all other demigods will get, but he will not get any share. So this is the curse of curse to Shiva by Daksha. Now, the point to be understood is how this curse is useful to Lord Shiva, because the curse actually it's a blessing for Lord Shiva. Daksha is cursing that he will not get any share out of this yajna. But actually, it is beneficial to Shiva because that yajna, was done when you get the blessings of yajna is all material things. So all the demigods, as we discussed also in the Vedas, when all demigods are doing, they are doing it for the material gains. So if it is good that if Lord Shiva is not getting any material gain, it will be good for him because he's already a spiritual personality. So in one sense, if he is not associated with those material demigods, that is good. he will not be materialistic more. So I'll just give you one example to understand this further. One time in Srila Prabhupada was asked that what is how we can be sincere in chanting. So Srila Prabhupada said a very nice answer. He said that the person you associate with, you become like them. So if you are, if you want to become a drunkard, you have to associate with the people who are drinking very often. So if you are associating with the people who are drinking, some or the other day you will also have those qualities and you will also start drinking. So that is a very easy example to understand. So if you associate more with materialistic people, one fine day you will also become materialistic. You will be having completely mind focused on materialistic desires only. So it is a blessing for Lord Shiva that he is not getting any share of that materialistic activity and he is out of that. So in that way, it is a blessing for Lord Shiva. Let us read the text 19. Yeah. So what happened is after cursing Lord Shiva and speaking all those bad words, Daksha left his place. He left from the assembly, and in spite of all telling him to be please no, don't leave and all, everybody was telling him that please don't leave, but still he left. But in Lord Prabhupada mentioned in purport that we have to be very careful by having offenses against Vaishnava. Lord Shiva is considered a topmost personality amongst Vaishnava. He is Vaishnava Yathashambhu. So Vaishnava Aparad, it's a very big offense and it is a big reason for anybody's fall down. So you cannot imagine Daksha has created done an offense against Lord Shiva, who is a very famous personality, who is a very glorious personality. Now what is going to happen with him, he is not knowing. So we'll see what happens to him next. Read the verse 20. Yeah, so now you see what is happening. Now when Daksha cursed Lord Shiva, so Shiva was still there in the assembly, but he didn't say a word. Shiva has not uttered a word yet. But his follower Nandishwar, you know Nandishwar, right? You have heard the name. So his follower Nandishwar, he started cursing back. It's like if somebody is scolding you, you also scold and you shout back. But Lord Shiva, he is not responding anything. He is very calm. He is very peaceful. He is still sitting in the assembly, not affected by all these, all these what was happening. He was still maintaining his exalted position. But then Nandishwar, he counter cursed back because Daksha is cursed, so he counter cursed back because the assembly was of Brahmanas who also followed Daksha, and they didn't spoke anything against Daksha when he was cursing. Nobody spoke him. Nobody. Am I audible? Hello, Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. Maybe there's some network issue today. So what I'm saying is that Nandishwar started cursing him back, cursing Daksha and cursing Brahmanas back. But Lord Shiva was silent and he was completely tolerant of the situation. He didn't react it. He was very calm, right? So I will read the text 21 myself, right? I think let me read myself. Anyone who has accepted Daksha as the most important personality and neglected Lord Shiva because of envy is less intelligent, and because of visualizing in duality will be bereft of transcendental knowledge. So what this Nandishwar is cursing now is anyone who has accepted Daksha as most important personality will be bereft of transcendental knowledge. So he is cursing all the Brahmanas that those all who have supported Daksha will be bereft of transcendental knowledge. They will be just having the gyan in their head, but there will be no knowledge. They'll be just reading all the shlokas, but there will be no knowledge. Real knowledge is what? That we are not this body, we are the soul. All those spiritual knowledge, they will be not having all those knowledge, but they will be just remembering the shlokas. That's it. So this was the first curse by Nandishwar to all the Brahmanas. Further, what he says, text 22. Pretentiously religious hold a household life in which one is attracted to material happiness and thus also attracted to the superficial explanation of Vedas, robs one of the intelligence and attach one to the fruitive activities all in all. So what he's saying is you will be just attached to the flowery language of the Vedas and you will not get essence of the Vedas. You know the essence of the Vedas is what is the essence of the Vedas? To know Krishna. Vedescha aham eva vedyo. That is what Krishna says. Vedescha sarve aham eva vedyo. So the essence of Vedas is to understand Krishna. But what the curse is given by Nandishwar is to all Brahmanas that you will read the Vedas, but you will not understand what the Vedas are saying. You know, text 23. Daksha has accepted the body as all in all. Therefore, since he has forgotten the Vishnu Pada or Vishnu Gati and is attracted to the sex life only, within a short time he will have a face of goat. So this is the second curse. What? Who is giving this? Nandishwar to Daksha. What curse he has given? That since Daksha is only concerned about his body, his bodily relation, because he was considering Lord Shiva as under him, beneath him, subordinate to him, because of the bodily relation of father-in-law and son-in-law. Soon, very soon, he will have a face of goat. Goat means what? Bakri, right? So Daksha will have a face of goat who was very famous and effulgence and very beautiful personality. He curses him to have a face of goat. You're getting that? You're getting where we are, what we are talking? This is Nandishwar cursing Daksha and all the Brahmanas, right? Text 24. Those who have become as dull as matter by cultivating materialistic education and intelligence are nascently involved in fruitive activities. Such men have purposefully insulted Lord Shiva. May they continue the cycle of birth and death. So this Nandishwar is cursing back that those who have considered Shiva as a very, those who have insulted Lord Shiva, they will never come out of the cycle of birth and death. Now, this is very grave thing to all the Brahmanas that those who have insulted Lord Shiva, a very great personality like Lord Shiva, they will never come out of the cycle of birth and death, and they will be keep on rotating in that cycle only. You know, so that was the curse giving. Nandishwar is giving back to Shiva. Nandishwar is giving back to Daksha because Nandishwar is a follower of Lord Shiva. So you know, if you are follower, for example, it's like your boss is getting cursed and as a subordinate you should counter curse that. So Lord Shiva is not reacting but his followers, Nandishwar is his followers. That is why with the Lord Shiva's insult they were also feeling insulted and they are cursing it back to Brahmanas, but Lord Shiva is still not saying a word. Yeah. Text 26. These Brahmanas taken to education, austerity and vows only for the purpose of maintaining the body, they shall be devoid of discrimination between what to eat and what not to eat. They will acquire money, begging from door to door, and simply for satisfaction of the body. You see what Nandishwar is saying to Brahmana? That they will be just begging from one place to another place to satisfaction of the body. They will not have a differentiation between what to eat and what not to eat. So actually, can you see this is compared to the modern day Brahmanas who are so-called Brahmanas and saying, just I am a Brahmana and eating non-veg also and eating ganja also and doing non all the other activities, but they still say that I am a Brahmana. So those are all the Brahmanas cursed by Nandishwar in favor of Lord Shiva. So the Brahmanas who are just saying for the namesake they are Brahmana, they are all the example of this curse in the Kali Yuga Brahmanas, right? Text 27. When all the hereditary Brahmanas were then cursed by Nandishwara, the sage Brigu, as a recitation, condemned the followers of Lord Shiva with very strong Brahmanical curse. Now see what is happening again. First of all, Daksha cursed Lord Shiva. Then Shiva's follower Nandishwar cursed back to Brahmanas and Daksha. Now out of the Brahmanas, Brigu Rishi is again standing up and he started cursing back. So this is one curse after another, counter curse, again curse. So this all is happening, cursing and counter cursing and counter cursing. This whole assembly is full of like the atmosphere is not very nice now. And why it happened? Just because of angry and envious Daksha, who was envy of whom? Lord Shiva. Yeah. I hope all are not sleeping. Okay. So what is happening here is you understand there are curse going on, counter curse going on, so that is all happening in this assembly now. And Brahmana's curse is also very strong because Brahmana curse is, Shringi. Shringi was a Brahmana. He just said within 7 days Parikshit Maharaj will die. So it happened. So Brahmana's curse are also very, very strong. So that is why in Bhagavad Gita, it is, sorry? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Vishnu Prabhu. I was waiting for your some comments. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is said that to avoid ourselves from curse, also blessing and curse in the material thing is same for a devotee. Bhagavad Gita very nice shloka says, Devi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya Maya Metam Mama Eva Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantive. So if we are surrendered to Lord Krishna, if we are surrendered to Krishna, we are all, we don't have to worry about all the curses what we're getting, all the blessings what we are getting, because curses are also material, blessings are also material. If somebody blesses you that you please have a long age, Ayushyaman Bhava. If somebody blesses us with Ayushyaman Bhava, we will have long life, but we will have long life with all back pains, neck pains, this pain, that pain, shoulder pain, stomach problem, this problem, that problem. So that long life blessing will also become problem for us. So best person is who takes the shelter of Krishna, and he crosses the material ocean with Krishna's help and never comes back in this material world to either get blessings or curses, right? So let us read the word 28. The curse doesn't stop there, it goes further. 28. One who takes a vow to satisfy Lord Shiva or who follows such principles will certainly become an atheist and be diverted from transcendental spiritual injunctions. So now this Brahmana Bhrigu is cursing to Lord Shiva followers that one who will follow Lord Shiva, he will become atheist. He will become atheist means he will not follow Vedas because they are cursing Vedas. So if you follow Lord Shiva, you will not follow Vedas. This is my curse. Let's see further. Those who vow to worship Lord Shiva are so foolish that they intimate him by keeping long hairs on their heads. When initiated into worship of Lord Shiva, they prefer to live wine, flesh, and other such things. Now this is very serious. So what he says is, those who worship Lord Shiva, those who follow his principle, we all know that Lord Shiva had poison, right? He had poison and his neck is blue because of poison. Neelkantha, we say Neelkantha, right? So the Brahmana is saying, the Bhrigu is saying, those who will follow Lord Shiva will also have intoxication, will also have ganja, and will also keep long hairs, and will also, do all this, all those, will stay with ghost and all those things. So have you heard of the Agoris and Tantrics and everything? So they are mostly the followers of Lord Shiva who are indulged in all these practices. So it is not necessary to all followers of Lord Shiva. There are mode of goodness also. The people who follow Lord Shiva are very auspicious also. But there is one kind of people who follow Lord Shiva and try to imitate Lord Shiva. They try to copy Lord Shiva by keeping long hairs, by having ganja, by having poisonous things. So they imitate Lord Shiva, which is not to be done, which is not prescribed in the Vedas. Am I clear on this? Bhrigu continued in the verse 30. Since you have blasphemed the Vedas and Brahmanas who are follow of Vedic principle, it is understood that you have already taken shelter of atheism. So again the same thing, that you will become atheist. I'll read what the 32nd, or let's go to 33rd directly. Yeah, I'm going to 33rd verse. The sage Maitreya said, when such cursing and counter cursing was going on between the Lord Shiva's follower and the parties of Daksha and Brigu, Lord Shiva became very morose. Not saying anything, he left the arena of the sacrifice followed by his disciples. So what happened to Lord Shiva? He didn't counter curse. See, Lord Shiva is maintaining his position. He is a very exalted person, right? He is maintaining his position and he was very, what happened to him? He was not angry. He became very sad. Let us read the purport what Prabhupada is saying. Vishnu Prabhu, can you read the purport inside 33? Yeah. So in Bhagavad Gita, we know the definition of Pandita. It is said that Brahmane Gavi Hastini, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini, Suni Cheva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So a Pandit, a real Pandit, a real Brahmana sees all with equal vision. He doesn't consider anybody lesser or higher. So Lord Shiva was a real Pandita, real Brahmana. So he didn't consider all those what was going on, and as Vishnu Prabhu said, it's a parliament assembly. So he did not consider that right, and he was feeling very sad. He was not angry, but he was sad on both the parties. His own followers also, those are counter cursing, and Brahmanas also, and Daksha also. So he was very sad and morose. So what he did, he thought that let me leave from this place. So let us read the verse 34. The sage Maitreya Muni continued, O Vidura, all the progenitors of universal population thus executed a sacrifice for thousands of years. For sacrifice is best to worship the Lord, Supreme Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. So what Maitreya Muni is concluding here is that after the Lord Shiva also left, they continued the sacrifices for 1,000 years and to satisfy the Vishnu, because any sacrifice is considered for satisfying Vishnu. So this is where I'll read the 31st fifth verse also. It is the last verse. My dear Vidura, carrier of bow and arrows, all the demigods who were performing the sacrifice took their bath at the confluence of the Ganges and the Yamuna after completing the yajna performance. Such a bath is called Bravada Snana, and thus become purified in the heart. They departed for respective abodes. So this is how the sacrifice was completed. But what happened is, because of Daksha's anger, because of Daksha's envious nature against Lord Shiva, he cursed Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva didn't react it. He didn't counter curse Daksha. But what happened is, his followers started counter cursing. Then when Nandishwar started cursing, the one of the Brahmana Brigumuni started get up and he started cursing. So when all this happening, Lord Shiva, he was very tolerant, he was very compassionate to everyone, because he knew, he was a very exalted personality. He's not an ordinary person. Lord Shiva is, just a very great personality. He's Devadidev Mahadev. So what he thought is, he let me leave from this assembly. So at the fine, when was happening, he left. Daksha has already left before, but then Lord Shiva also left with his follower. So this was the episode of cursing and counter cursing. Now after this, what is going to happen is, now when he will go home, he will go home and he will have to discuss with his wife, what has happened and everything. Now who is the wife? Daksha's daughter. So now imagine a scene, Sati. So now imagine a scene that a husband is coming back home and will narrate everything, stories to wife about his father, what has happened and everything, what is going to be at his home, at Lord Shiva's home. And then what Sati is going to say, Sati is also going to say some very beautiful words. And in next chapter, there's something amazing going to happen. And then finally, Sati will give up her body. Something serious will happen in the next chapter, that Sati has to give up her body. So that we will see on Saturday, why Sati gives up her body. And then finally, did Daksha got punishment for all his what misdeed he did? How Lord Shiva punished Daksha, and how Daksha was punished, how he got the head of a goat, Pagri. So that we will see in the on the session on Saturday. So if you have any quick question, we can take, because it's already 5 minutes over time. So I can take one question if someone has, or else we will discuss on Saturday. Yeah, that's what Daksha is saying. Not Yeah, that's not true. That's not completely true. Yeah, he is blaspheming Shiva, right? That's why he said this. Hmm. That is why. Yes, yes. That is why Nandishwar. That is why Nandishwar is cursing back that why you didn't protested. You should have protested. Exactly. Yeah. No, if blaspheming is happening, you should protest. Like for example, if you are in that assembly, like for example, if I am there, if somebody is blaspheming Krishna, for example, you know, so I have to protest that. I have to protest against anyaya, against adharma. So that is our duty as a Vaishnava, that you have to protest against adharma. Whatever is happening in your capacity, you have to do that, right? So this is what when Daksha said, Shiva is lowest of the demigod. Actually, it is reverse. He is the highest of demigods. So that is how it has to be understood. I think Vishnu Prabhu left. I don't know where he gone. Okay. So yeah, actually it is the other way around. He is the best of the demigod. He is the Devaditev Mahadev. How he can be lowest of the demigod? That was Daksha's ignorance. Daksha is being ignorant. Why he is being ignorant? Because of envy. See, why we are envious of people, why his envy will see also again. But because of his envious nature, his anger is building up. See, that's why in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Trividam narkasyedam dwaram nashnam atmana kama krodha tatha lobhas tasmar etam trayam tajet. So what Krishna says is, there are three gates which are leading to hell. One is kama, lust, krodha, tatha lobha, greed. So if you are, these three are the gates to the hell. So if you are angry, first of all, when you are angry because of enviousness, because of pride, you lose the sense of discrimination. When you are angry, you don't consider what is good, what is bad. You cannot distinguish between what is good and what is bad. This is exactly happened with Daksha. He was angry because he was envious. And why he was envious? Because Lord Shiva didn't paid me respect. Because I am greater than Lord Shiva. Why he didn't paid me respect? So he was, just for this small thing, he was envious, and then he became very angry, and which lead to all these things. Okay. So thank you all for joining, and we will see. It is a very interesting topic. Next two chapters will be very interesting. So I would request all to join again on Saturday. We'll see how Sati quits her body, and how Lord Shiva, or is Daksha getting punished or not. So we'll see all those things. Okay. Hare Krishna. Shri Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.